Hello, my loves. Welcome into this video for the new moon in Scorpio solar eclipse. I'm so excited to get started here on this journey. First things first, if you are new, hi, welcome in. It's nice to see you. It's nice to have you here. I do have a tutorial video, how to get the most out of these readings with my tips and tricks and how to engage with this material and your spiritual support team as we receive this guidance. You can watch that video if you feel called, if it feels supportive. It's not necessary, but it is there for you if it feels good to you. For those who are not new, hello, y'all. How are you? It's good to have you back here. Thank you so much for being here. As you hopefully already know, it is a pleasure to be offering this service to you, this guidance, this self-understanding through astrology, this connecting with our spiritual support team, our inner knowing through the spiritual sacred tools of the cards. And it's an honor and a joy, and I am so lit up by this Scorpio solar eclipse, and I'm excited to jump in and talk about it. So first, let's talk about new moon energy. New moons always represent for us new beginnings. New cycles are starting. The cycle that's starting is always under the theme of the sign that it's in, and it relates to the house that this energy is happening for us. We'll get more in depth with that house energies in just a moment. So the energy that this new moon is happening in is in the sign of Scorpio. So Scorpio is a fixed sign, which means that it is an unchanging energy. It's also a water sign, which represents the emotional realm. So essentially, the Scorpion energy is fixed water, unchanging emotions. That's this energy of the Scorpion archetype. Now, the Scorpion is the totem of the Scorpio energy, and it represents this deep dive into deep knowledge, into deep knowing, that relentless search for truth, diving deep into the core of who we are, why we're here, and really understanding that on a deep, deep level. The Scorpion energy also has this energy of flying high, like an eagle or like a phoenix, because it has this transformative nature. The Scorpio season happens during All Hallows Eve, which is when the veil is the thinnest between our world and the other side, and it represents this death and rebirth energy. So if you didn't watch the readings for the solar season in Scorpio, where we dive into where Scorpio is occurring in your own chart and you learn more about how to embody that energy and we get guidance from our support team, I recommend you check out that video after these videos if that feels good and right to you. Now, let's talk about eclipse energy. So the normal lunar phase, lunar cycle is 28 days. From one new moon to another, or one full moon to the next. Eclipse energies last us for 6 months. So this is a new beginning that we're going to see unfold and experience unfolding over the course of 6 months. This eclipse is referencing the lunar eclipse when the moon was full in Scorpio 6 months earlier on May 16th. So this energy here is a culmination of 6 months prior. I did a reading for that eclipse, and I will be reviewing the information that came through from that reading at the end of the videos. So this cycle is going to go from October 25th, which is when this eclipse happens, at 6:49 in the morning, that's Eastern time. And this energy, like I said, is going to be potent for 6 months. So it's going to last until May 5th, 23, which is going to be another lunar eclipse in Scorpio. More time to focus on this energy and utilize these powerful eclipse portals to move us forward in our personal goals and in our collective goals. Now, before we dive deep into this energy, into this information that's coming through here, I want to take a moment to talk about a cycle that's much, much larger that I haven't really talked about before this moment. So we are in a cycle called the Great Year. And some of you may have heard of this through the age of Aquarius. We're moving out of the age of Pisces and we're moving into the age of Aquarius. The Great Year actually goes backwards in the zodiac. So the energy of Aquarius is humanitarian focused. So overarching all of the work that we're doing right now is this energy of supporting humanity, supporting the collective, becoming a united, collaborative species. That's the overall theme of all of this energy and all of this work that we are doing on individual levels. It's permeating out into the collective. So this Scorpio new moon solar eclipse wanted me to connect with you and show you the power of prayer. So it doesn't matter what your spiritual beliefs are. You could call this an affirmation. You could call this an intention. You could call this a prayer, a meditation. The word that you use to describe what we're going to do here in just a moment is up to you to determine. And you can work with your spiritual support team in ways that feel good and right for you. But what I was receiving was that this powerful solar eclipse is a moment for us to make a wish, to start something new. And I'm inviting all of us watching these videos to take a moment and to set aside our personal goals, our personal life, whatever's going on an individual basis, and set a prayer, set an intention for humanity with this solar eclipse. My prayer, my intention is that our entire human family wake up to the truth of our collaborative, loving, and selfless natures. This is actually something that I've been learning about scientifically. It is proven, and there is an explanation for why we as a species have been so angry, alienated, competitive, and egocentric, despite our natural desires to be cooperative, to be loving, and to act in service of the whole. So this is my intention and my prayer. I'm going to read what's called the Ho'oponopono prayer. And I invite you to say this prayer with me and hold this intention for our human collective. Again, holding the intention that we all wake up to the truth within us, to our own natures of being collaborative, cooperative, and loving towards our human family as a whole. Here's the prayer. Father, mother, child, as one, if I, my family, relatives, and ancestors have offended you, your family, your relatives, and ancestors, in thoughts, words, deeds, and actions, from the beginning of creation to the present, we ask your forgiveness. Let's cleanse, purify, release, cut all the negative memories, blocks, energies, and vibrations. Let's transmute these unwanted energies into pure light. And it is said, it is done, and set free. Thank you all for joining me in this collective intention and prayer. I don't normally do this in my videos, but I was really guided to do this. Another reason I think I'm guided to do this is because, as I mentioned, the Scorpio energy is the thinning of the veil. This is the time for us to connect to our ancestors, the ones who did all of this work to get us where we are so that we could wake up to the beautiful freedom and truth of what it is to be a human living in cooperation with other humans on this earth. This is what the age of Aquarius promises us. And each phase that we go through is helping us to move closer and closer to this reality, bringing it into form. So back to the readings. How do you know which reading is for you? Well, you are going to have two readings. You're going to first watch the interpretation for where the moon was when you were born. So if you don't know your birth chart information, this is the time for you to watch my tutorial video on how to find your birth chart information on astro.com. You go to that site, enter in your birth data. If you don't know your birth time, please don't stop there. I have a tutorial video linked in that video that'll tell you how to find your birth time so that you can access this all-powerful information of the vibration that was in play the moment you took your first breath in this life. So you're going to watch the interpretation for where the moon was when you were born, and you're also going to check in to see what house this current eclipse is happening for you. So how do you find that out? I'll explain that in the video, so if you don't know, watch that video too. But you're going to look for where Scorpio, symbolized by the M with the little pointy tail, occurs at 2 degrees exactly in 2 degrees, okay? And whatever house that's in, you're going to also watch the video for the house reading. Now, of course, you can skip through the introduction once you've watched it once, and you can skip through where it says house interpretation. Watch the card reading and then scroll ahead. Okay, I do timestamps on these videos to help you guys scroll through the information that you don't need or that is repeat, and help you to get the most out of this information and not waste any of your time. Okay? If after watching the tutorial video you have questions on how to find this information and what video is right for you, please feel free to reach out. So if you feel called to support me for this information, for this guidance, for the way that it supports you, you can do that in so many ways. You can like, you can comment, you can engage with this material, which helps get me out to more people. You can share this with anyone you think would find it interesting and valuable. And of course, you can support me in my services. I have a weekly chakra meditation service on WhatsApp. It's only $14.40 a month. You can go to devotedandvulnerable.com/services to sign up for that. I also offer chart readings on that website at that same address, so you can go there. And if you just feel called to offer me a financial contribution out of the goodness of your heart and it feels aligned to you, you can do that at paypal.me/devotedvulnerable. Link is in the description. So we are going to be getting guidance from the Angel Therapy deck by Doreen Virtue. And we are ready to dive into what our spiritual support team wants us to know about the new beginnings we are starting in the next 6 months. So this video is for you if your moon was in Aries when you were born, and or if 2 degrees of Scorpio shows up in your first house. If you haven't already taken a few deep breaths, called in your spiritual support team, and opened your heart to receive the guidance that's most aligned for you at this time, I invite you to do that. And let's find out what card is here for you. So to guide you through new beginnings for the next 6 months, we have workshops and seminars. Attending and giving speeches is part of your spiritual path and purpose. Be open to teaching and learning. Alrighty. This is really awesome guidance. I'm going to get into how this aligns with the moon. And if you're here for the house reading, just scroll ahead to that reading. Before we get into the card interpretation, let's review what the moon in Aries energy is all about. You can scroll ahead if you're familiar with this energy. So the moon in our astrological story represents our emotions. And where the moon is will show us how our emotions express. So your emotions express themselves through the archetype of Aries. The energy of Aries is a cardinal energy, which means it's initiating. It starts the season of spring. It actually starts the energy of the zodiac. So it's a very initiatory energy. It represents the element of fire, which is all about our spiritual world. So when you are embodying your emotions, you may feel a little fiery in your emotions, and you may feel that you're constantly emotionally starting new things. The archetype of Aries is the ram. So it's got this image of just going head first into something, into the world, into life, into the journey of this zodiac story. And you may find that your emotions are enthusiastic, generous, sparky, courageous, and independent. Now let's bring it into the advice of workshop and seminars. There's something here that your guides want you to know about the value of your emotions and the things that you are here to teach through your emotional world, through your heart. What is it that inspires you, sparks a passion and an interest in your heart? And how can you turn that into a workshop and a seminar? How can you teach others what it is that you are passionate about? Even if it's a subject you don't feel you know a lot about, they say that the best way to learn is to teach. So please go ahead and do that. This is also confirmation that if you have been thinking about going to a workshop or seminar, attending some sort of learning, if you've been called, if you have a spark to go do that, this is confirmation for you that yes, it is time for you to dive into that learning, that understanding. This is a fairly simple advice for you, and I'm really excited to see how this unfolds for you over the next 6 months. Now, keep in mind, the house reading that you're going to be watching after this is going to give you information on where in your life this eclipse is pinging, meaning that wherever in your life this eclipse is happening, whichever house, this is the house or the subject matter, perhaps, that the workshop and seminars want to take place, or the location in your life where the workshops and seminars are taking place. As I've described before, the reason I like to do these readings this way is because I don't know your own personal moon and house alignments, and that gives you the opportunity to come to your own conclusions, to see how these guidances and informations to see how this guidance and information really resonates with you. What does it mean for you? And to come up with your own knowing about how this is playing out in your life. Now, of course, you can always ask questions if you're having trouble making a connection, but I encourage you to dive into your own knowing and figure out or see or let the next 6 months show you where the 2 degrees of Scorpio is happening in your life is relevant to the workshop and seminar energy. Now, you're also going to get another card with that house reading, which will help you understand a little bit more about what it is that your energies, what it is that your support team is guiding you to. Until then, namaste. The universal light within me salutes and honors the universal light within you. Namaste. So first, before we do the card interpretation, let's talk about the first house energy. The first house, the houses always represent where in our astrological story things are happening. So because this eclipse happens in your first house, this is where the energies are going to be most potent and powerful. The first house is the house of self. It's this energy of consciousness, focus, ego, identity, and appearance. It's ruled by the energies of Mars and Aries. So it is in your consciousness, in your identity, and in your appearance that you're going to be learning more, that you're going to be teaching more. Perhaps you've learned something about consciousness that you are here to give workshops and seminars about. Perhaps in the area of consciousness, you are going to be learning and attending workshops and seminars. Perhaps it's going to deal with your identity. Perhaps you're learning about yourself in a deeper way. Astrology is a great way to learn more about yourself, and there's so many other great systems out there. Human design, gene keys, to just name a few. So you might be diving into some sort of workshop. You might be diving into some sort of workshop or seminar relating to the identity. Or you might be giving a workshop and seminar relating to your identity, or a system that helps people understand their own individual natures. You might also be learning about the ego or teaching people how to relate to their ego so that their ego isn't in the driver's seat. You may also just be teaching people by the way that you dress, or maybe you're teaching people or learning about how our appearance, how our dress communicates to the world, and how we can utilize our appearance to communicate messages, to embody our identity, our self, and express ourselves through this appearance part of our lives. So definitely apply this to the information that you got for your moon reading. And before you go here, I want to go back into review. I want to review what information came through for the first house energies for the full moon eclipse. Now, this may or may not be relevant for you depending on which house system you're using. The eclipse in may have happened in a different house for you, but this is a review for those in the first house. If you want to just go back and watch that reading, you can go ahead and do that too. But I just wanted to pull up here what the last 6 months for this first house area of life have been about. The card was Heart Chakra. Knowing that the answers are within our hearts and being open to giving and receiving. And you also got, there was 2 cards in that reading, the 3 of Earth, which was about collaborating with groups of people and networking. So now that you've opened your heart and you've collaborated and networked, it's time for you to move into this workshop and seminar energy and to start to teach what it is that you know, or to go to workshops and seminars that help you to further your understanding of consciousness, identity, ego, just the power of your own focus. The law of attraction is another thing that you may be studying or teaching at this time. Comment, let me know how this is resonating with you. Let me know if you have questions. And as always, namaste. The universal light within me salutes and honors that universal light within you. Namaste.